Good morning, everyone. Thank you for sparing your precious time to join us today. In celebration of Women's Month, we are bringing together trusted medical experts to talk about important health topics that every woman should know. Through this special podcast conversation, we aim to empower women with reliable information, practical health advice, and meaningful insight straight from our specialists. As we begin, we would like to introduce our podcast moderator, a board-certified obstetrician and gynecologist and an aesthetic gynecologist. She is an alumna of Far Eastern University, Dr. Nicanor Reyes Medical Foundation, and had her OBGYN residency training at Quezon City General Hospital as an associate chief resident. A round of applause for Dr. Ana Isabella V. Flores from the Department of Obstetrics and Gynecology.
Most of our patients usually had symptoms that they are embarrassed or even scared to talk to their doctors. So today in this podcast, we will be talking about this, and this is a safe space, so you can ask us about anything. So welcome to our Women's Month Live podcast. I am Dr. Anais Flores, an OBGYN and an aesthetic gynecologist, and we're here to welcome our guests. So actually, we are honored kasi we have two dermatologists today, no? So for our first doctor, she is an alumna of University of Santo Tomas, where she earned her bachelor's degree in physics while completing her Doctor of Medicine degree and clinical clerkship. She then completed her postgraduate internship at Makati Medical Center and had her dermatology residency program at East Avenue Medical Center. She also pursued her international fellowship program in dermatologic surgery in Bangkok, Thailand. Please welcome Dr. Maria Patricia Gertrude Camille R. Olero. Morning, Doc. For our next doctor, she is an alumna of Ateneo School of Medicine and Public Health, where she completed her Doctor of Medicine degree. She then pursued her residency training at University of the Philippines, Philippine General Hospital, and fellowship training in dermatologic surgery at Jose Reyes Memorial Medical Center. Please welcome Dr. Raisa Celine R. Rosete. Morning, Doc. Joining us next is a specialist who is passionate about supporting women through every stage of their reproductive health. She obtained her bachelor's degree in pharmacy from University of Santo Tomas and medical degree from Far Eastern University, Dr. Nicanor Reyes Medical Foundation. She served as the president of Philippine Obstetrical and Gynecological Metro Rizal chapter from 2023 to 2025 from the Department of OBGYN specializing in reproductive medicine. Please welcome Dr. Regeline Angela Marisigan. Morning, Doc. And for our fourth guest, we have a dedicated breast specialist from the Department of Surgery whose work focuses on the early detection, diagnosis, and treatment of breast condition. An alumna of St. Luke's College of Medicine, she then pursued her residency training of general surgery at the same institution and was the chief resident. She had her fellowship training for breast surgery at Kyushu University Hospital in Japan. Her expertise plays an important role in raising awareness about breast health and encouraging women to prioritize regular screening. Join me as we welcome Dr. Karen P. Zaguirre. Morning! Morning po mga doc. So,
Morning.
ano muna tayo ngayon? Getting to know muna siguro tayo mga doc. Why and how did you get into your specialty, doc? Sino una?
Ako ba muna?
Sige, doc.
Okay. I grew up literally in a hospital. Why? Kasi my mom is a OBGYN as well, and my dad is a surgeon. So we have a small primary hospital in Marikina. So my playmates are nurses, medtechs, so pharmacists. So yeah, and my brother is an ophthalmologist ngayon. Dito din sa Fatima, no? So yun ang reason why.
Family of doctors pala sila. Next, doc.
So ako naman, Same lang po kami ni Doktora. So my dad is also a physician. So he's an emergency medicine doctor. So when I was young, he would always bring me sa ER. So lumaki din ako seeing the residents, the nurses. So at a very young age, I really wanted to become a doctor. So parang fixed na siya. Wala na akong ibang gusto kundi doctor. So yun po.
Sige, Doc.
Actually, same din yung story ko. So, my dad was also a surgeon. My mom is actually also a dermatologist. So, similar, I grew up going sa clinics, sa hospitals. So, it really influenced me from a young age. Also seeing then how they dealt with their patients. Parang in the future, I was like, oh, I wanted to pursue that also.
Okay, so ako naman, I've always wanted to be a doctor ever since I was young. But I got invested sa breast surgery because one of my closest friends in medical school was diagnosed. So yun, inaaral namin yung disease niya habang nasa med school kami. We were doing researches and then yun, eventually, I decided to have the fellowship sa breast.
Puro family of doctors pala tayo dito.
Parang wala nang nakitang iba.
Wala na
Ano,
nga eh,
oo.
oo. So, I think yun yung common sa atin. No? Pag lumaki ka as family of doctors, parang yun na rin ikaw paglaki. Okay. So, for our first case, kay Doc Jeline, so we have this patient na has irregular bleeding or irregular menses, then ina-attribute lang nila usually sa stress. How common is this usually, Doc, sa mga clinics natin?
Very common ang irregular menses, no, abnormal uterine bleeding, but I will tell you that don't normalize irregular bleeding. May mga patients sasabihin, ay, doktor, ang tipid ko nga eh. Wala po akong ginagamit na napkin, no? Hindi po regular ang menses ko. So, mas comfortable ako. Hindi ako nag-aalala sa menses ko. Pero ang totoo yun, hindi po dapat ino-normalize ang irregular bleeding. It has a lot of causes. Pwedeng thyroid problem, no? Pwedeng endometriosis, myoma, polyps. There are a lot of diagnosis na attributed to the irregular menses. No, so don't normalize irregular bleeding.
Yes, Doc. Dahil nandun na rin tayo, Doc, sa mga symptoms. Ano ba usually mga symptoms na akala ng patients normal lang, pero hindi na pala?
Okay. One is pelvic pain. No, pelvic pain or dysmenorrhea or any pain that disrupts your normal daily living. No, don't normalize pelvic pain. It could be endometriosis ulit, no? Meron akong patient, no, na nagpunta sa akin, sasabihin niya, teenager to, sasabihin niya, Doktora, every time na nagkakaroon ako, sumasakit. That's what we call dysmenorrhea, di ba? Only to find out na merong endometriosis. Teenager pa lang. So, pwede yun, no? Teenager pa lang diagnosed with endometriosis na. So, don't normalize pelvic pain. Okay. Another one is yung tinatawag na irregular bleeding or abnormal uterine bleeding. Yung katulad na sinabi natin kanina. So, these signals can have some underlying serious conditions. So, don't normalize irregular bleeding. Don't normalize pelvic pain. No?
Dok, sa tingin nyo, bakit yung ibang patients natatakot pumunta sa doktor? Or sasabihin nila, ay Dok, nanganak na ako eh. Hindi ko na kailangan bumalik sa doktor or sa OB mismo.
Siguro dapat yung mga audience natin yung tinatanong, bakit ba ayaw nyo pumunta sa mga OB? Maybe because yung embarrassment, siguro dahil they will undress themselves and then they will show us their intimate parts. Siguro dahil takot sila na ma-find out kung merong serious condition. Another reason. Third, ano pa ba? Like fear na meron silang na ma-find out. Yun nga, yung mga sakit. Like, of course, cancer, no? What else? Anxiety over painful pelvic examination. Takot kayo, baka masakit ng internal exam, no? Siguro ganun yung mga reasons why. Oh.
Saka nahihiya sila, Dok, na akala nila higa.
Dapat
agad,
hindi.
yes.
Kasi it will lead to delayed or avoided treatment. Care. Hindi nasisimulan agad yung treatment. Yun yung ayaw natin. Of course, dapat early diagnosis tayo para early din po yung treatment.
So, Doc, sa tingin nyo, Doc, what one condition na sana na check kagad ng patients natin? Yung madali sanang nadedetect ng patients para pumunta kagad sa doktor.
Okay. yun yung pinakaayaw natin, yung dreaded disease, which is cancer, no? So, yun yung pinakaayaw natin, cancer. Specifically, ovarian cancer. Bakit po? Because 80% we catch ovarian cancer on the late stage. Ibig sabihin, 80%, ang laki po, no? So, 20% lang po yung nakakatch namin ng early. Bakit po? Kasi wala pong nararamdaman. Ang mga symptoms niya very vague. So, talagang dapat po na ma-check ng OBGYN para po, again, early diagnosis and early treatment. So, ovarian cancer sa tingin ko.
Magpapacheck na lang sila, Doc, malaki na yung tiyan.
Totoo yan. Yes.
So I think siguro, Doc, dagdag ko lang doon, cervical cancers.
Yes.
Sayang kasi ang dali lang sana
We don't have any vaccines for ovarian cancer, no vaccines yet for fallopian tube cancer, but we have now for cervical cancer. So the schedule for the cervical cancer vaccine, no, 3 yan, 3, 0 to 6. 0 being on that day itself, 0. 2 is the second month, and then the 6th month. So 0 to 6. After the 3 doses, it's lifetime na po. And as early as 9 years old, pwede na po magpa-vaccine. At pwede din po yun sa guys, no? Pwede rin kasi it has coverage for genital warts, yes. So pwede din. So have yourselves vaccinated, sasabihin ng mga pasyente, ang mahal naman po niyan, doktora. Oo, lifetime naman
doktora.
siya.
Oo,
And mas mahal yung chemotherapy. Lagi ko sinasabi yun. Mas mahal kasi ang chemotherapy than the vaccine. So, dun po tayo sa prevention, no? Than cure, no? Prevention tayo dapat.
So, Doc, ano po sa tingin niyo yung mga possible complications kapag late na pumunta sa OB?
Yes. Of course, pag pregnancy complications, no? Kasi dapat po nagpapa-prenatal every month. Yun po ay hanggang 28 weeks. Simula po ng 28 weeks, ay every 2 weeks na po ang check-up pag buntis. And then, once na nag-37 weeks na ang buntis, every week na po siya. So, one is pregnancy complication. Another is yung asymptomatic STDs or sexually transmitted infection. Kasi di ba po, normal sa atin, hindi naman normal, kundi dami kong patient kasi po na nagpapatingin sa akin because of abnormal vaginal discharge. Sinasabi nila na normal na sa kanila yon, some greenish discharge, yellowish discharge, na which is hindi po dapat na pinapawalang bahala, no? So dapat po magpapa-check up po kayo kasi hindi po natin alam na meron na po palang sexually transmitted disease. Another thing is undiagnosed cancer development. Yung katulad po na sinasabi natin kanina na ang dami na pong cancer ngayon. Sobrang dami na po. No, so dapat po kahit na ano pong nararamdaman, dapat po na magpatingin sa OBGYN because that's one way of telling you that something is wrong with your body. So dapat po na magpa-check up po, hindi lang dapat po na pag may nararamdaman. Totoo niyan, every 6 to 12 months po ang check-up. Kasi meron din tayong pap smear. Diba? Pap smear is cervical cancer screening. So we do that. Kinukuhanan po namin ng sample ng cervix ninyo. Nilalagay po sa slide. And then, sinasubmit po namin yun sa laboratory. Tinitingnan po kung may cells going to cancer. So that's pap smear. So, yun po yung mga complications, no? Pag hindi po nagpapa-check up sa OB.
So, I think, Doc, yung mga top natin sa clinic, abnormal menses and abnormal discharge. So, wag nyo pong baliwala lang yung mga ganong simptomas. Okay?
Yes. Ang totoo niyan, what is the normal menstrual cycle? It's between 21 to 38 days. Anything less than 21, more than 38 days, that's irregular. So, yun po yung normal menstrual cycle natin. Punta na po kayo sa OB. Okay.
So, dapat hindi mahihiya sa OB. Okay? So, for our next case, ito medyo nakaka-self-conscious kasi skin yung pag-uusapan natin. So, Doc, we have a patient in her 30s, tapos bigla siyang nagbe-breakout. Then, inattribute niya lang din to stress or to ano. Ano pa po bang possible reasons for that, Doc? 30s na, nagpipimples pa.
So actually, very common po now na kahit mga nasa 30s or late 40s, nagkakaroon pa rin talaga ng acne. So parang yung mga usual kwento ng patients ko is that, Dok, wala naman akong acne before, bakit biglang meron? So syempre ikaw as a dermatologist, you have to ask for a lot of factors like stress, bago ba yung work mo, lately ba ano yung lifestyle mo, yung mga usually mong kinakain, or like diagnose ka ba with PCOS, nagpa-check up ka ba sa OB? Kasi actually, ang derma and OB, we actually work hand in hand. So usually kapag may abnormalities like nakikita namin sa skin, especially like acne, tas biglaan, tapos ma-attribute namin to irregular menses, we work together with the OB kasi baka may underlying, baka may myoma, diba Doc? Baka may endometriosis. So talagang hindi lang din kasi yung acne mo, isa lang. Madami talaga siyang underlying factor. So, pwedeng yung stress po, yung hormones. Sobrang important yung hormones kasi kung sa adult nagkakaroon ng hormones, ay ng pimples, sa bata din at teenage, nagkakaroon din talaga sila kasi may shift ng imbalance ng hormones. So, naiintindihan natin na syempre kapag wala kang acne before, tapos bigla kang nagkaroon, ngayon parang nakaka-insecure. So, kailangan namin tignan kung ano po talaga yung factors na nag-a-attribute doon. And especially as natin yung skincare. Minsan kasi kulang yung ginagamit. Like, nagsiself-medicate lang kayo with, let's say, tretinoin, pero wala kayong mga ibang ingredients na matatarget yung pag-eliminate ng acne. So, yun po. And
Add ko nga rin yung, kanina hindi ko nabanggit about PCOS eh. Yung PCOS, sasabihin nila, Doktora, normal naman na irregular yung bleeding ko, irregular yung menses ko. Kasi may PCOS ako eh. Hindi po totoo yun. Dapat po kahit diagnose kayo with PCOS, dapat regular din po yung menses ninyo. Kasi wag po niyong papabayaan na irregular yung menses nyo. Kahit may PCOS po kayo, pa-check up po kayo sa OB.
Sige, Doc. So, I'd also like to add then. So, for adult acne in general, there's very common talaga is there's an underlying hormonal issue. But then other things also, especially if it's new onset, I think you touched on it then, it's what they're using. So, there are a lot of things that commercially available that can actually lead to acne or lead to acne breakout. So, changes in their routine, things like that can also lead to these conditions. And then just to add also, that's why I emphasize that especially if it's sudden, bago lang siya, new problem, and then you never had it before, there are a lot of conditions that also mimic acne. So you might not actually be dealing with acne talaga. Oo, and then they, since they think it's acne, they use a lot of parang over-the-counter treatments na hindi naman talaga won't work for them because it's not an acne problem. It could be something else. So that's why those types of patients, it's very common then that we see them. So having those issues, I think it's already somewhat of a medical, or it's definitely a medical condition already that requires a dermatologic consult.
So, Doc, nandito na tayo sa skincare. I think lahat kami gusto matutunan to. Doc, ano bang mga skincare routine nyo? Baka pwede nyo i-share sa amin.
ako po, personally.
Oh, yes. Personally, yes, Doc.
Ako po kasi I have a combination skin, meaning oily to dry yung skin ko. So, I used for my facial wash. Ito po ba?
Yes.
Brands ba yan? Endorsing of brands ba?
So, I just use a cleanser that is also good for sensitive and oily skin. And of course, after nun, hindi kasi po ako ma-toner. So, next is I put vitamin C, vitamin E, may ferulic. So, after nun, of course, syempre, after ko serum, naglalagay ako ng moisturizer para ma-lock in ko yung mga next steps na ilalagay ko. And of course, after po nun, talagang nagli-layer din ako ng isa pang moisturizer. Since oily yung skin ko, I prefer the gel type. Kasi kapag cream, parang ino-occlude mo lalo yung skin. So, pwedeng comedogenic po siya. So, magkakaroon kayo ng mga whiteheads, blackheads, or even pimples. Kasi nga po, na-occlude natin. So, after nun, kailangan din talaga natin i-educate yung patients natin kung anong type to use kasi talagang readily available. Especially na meron ng mga Korean and Japanese skincare, diba? So parang excited tayo about it. Tapos after nun, very important, yung sunscreen talaga. As in,
Yes,
sobrang
sunscreen.
walang... Yun talaga, walang replacement.
Non-negotiable, Doc.
Yes.
Yes.
Parang if hindi pa po kayo nagsistart mag-sunscreen, now is the time na mag-sunscreen po kayo. So, kailangan i-prevent natin na magkaroon kayo ng melasma, signs of aging. Ano po yun, yung mga wrinkles. So, talagang at a very young age, encourage namin yung patients namin na mag-sunscreen with reapplication every 2 hours.
2 hours, akala ko medyo
Doktor,
longer
totoo
than
ba
that.
yung oral na sunscreen? Totoo ba yun?
Well, yung mechanism kasi of the oral sunscreen is different. I would still say that topical, yung pinapahid na sunscreen, is still yung mainstay. You can't replace it with oral. But for some patients, especially, I think yung mga very sun-exposed, like they really work outdoors, it can be an additional thing, pero it's not a replacement. Oo.
So, Doktor, kailangan pa rin pala mag-moisturizer kahit na oily. So, okay.
I think, oo, kasi it really depends on yung skin type mo, on if you have an underlying skin condition also. So, for example, if you're more like, kasi, same lang, I'm combination also so more oily with some dry areas. So, because of that, I'll go yung sa routine. So, still same thing. I use a cleanser. Then, if nagme-makeup ako, like sometimes an additional step also is that you have to have a effective makeup remover. Kasi I think that's one thing also that some patients forget is that they don't fully remove the makeup, so that can actually lead to a lot of skin problems down the line. Then, ako din nagma-moisturizer. It depends on, if you're more of the dry skin type, I would go for cream-based ones kasi those are more moisturizing. But if you're more oily, more of the lighter, gel or more of, sometimes even yung serums, yung lighter, na formulations that would be good for you. And then, at night, retinoids ako. Yeah, kasi
Dok, yung retinoids ba
Yes.
everyday dapat or every other day?
depends din sa For example, if acne prone ka, ideally everyday siya kasi it's also an anti-acne treatment. But for those na more of like for general skincare, especially if more sensitive ka, there are some that can use it less frequently. Oo. Yeah, and then after that, especially in the morning again to emphasize sunscreen. So important.
Doktor, may
talaga.
question ako. Yung pag retinoid same sa retinol?
So it's a different, may strength kasi, like, so, prescription strength retinoids like tretinoin or adapalene or trifarotene, those are the ones na, usually for patients na that really have significant skin issues kasi the difficulty is that it's more irritating then. So baka kung if you use it without parang guidance or kung you just use it on your own, baka magkaroon ka ng irritation. Oo.
So, nandito na tayo, Dok, sa pagsi-self-medicate. Dok, ano bang pinagkaiba ng skincare routine sa ako nagiging medical treatment na pala itong ginagawa ko? Kasi I think some of our patients, hindi akala nila, skincare routine lang to. Hindi, yun pala, ano na siya, medical treatment na pala yung ginagawa nila. So, Dok, ano po ba yung difference nila? And ano ba yung long-term effects na to if talagang self-medicate sila?
So actually, the way I think about it then is that skincare itself, even like yung basic skincare, kasi properly cleansing your face is important. Even moisturizing itself, kasi it restores your skin barrier, which in itself is somewhat of a medical issue na din. And then sunblock, kasi like you said, not only does it prevent a lot of skin problems, skin cancer is one of the most important things. So using your sunblock regularly, especially when you're not only then when you're going outside, even when you're in buildings, driving the car, kasi sun UV radiation can still penetrate glass and things like that. You really have to use your sunscreen because it prevents a lot of important skin conditions as well. So for me, even those basic things, I would already consider them medical. But I think one thing also is for the self-medication, because we have so much access to all of these
readily
things.
available.
Yeah, readily
Cheap na rin yung
available.
iba,
Yes,
Dok.
oo. So I just want to, parang the one thing I always emphasize to patients is what works for someone else might not work for you. Oo. And then what can, kasi it really depends on your skin type, you have an underlying skin condition. Also, what's your concern? Kasi for some example, a lot of people say, oh, I really love this product. And then it may work for you, but it can also worsen it's not one size fits all.
Case-to-case
Case-to-case basis. So, especially if you already have skin issues or if you're having a reaction to a consult already. Oo. But for like yung general cleanser, moisturizer, sunscreen, I think everyone should be able to do that even without seeing a dermatologist.
Negotiable na
Yeah,
talaga.
non-negotiable na yon, yes.
Nakakapangit nung magpapaaraw pa, nakakapangit.
Pag medyo tago tayo, oo.
And actually, Doc, with regards to self-medication, sobrang common siya. Like, kahit saan, we get patients na parang, Doc, nilagyan ko lang ng cream. Tapos when you ask ano yung nilagay nila, sabi nila, Doc, BL cream, skin fighter, rejuve cream, or yung mga peeling solution. Lahat po yun na nabibili nyo na walang prescription or hindi po dermatologist ang nagbigay sa inyo, ay hindi po yun mga FDA approved. Actually, yun pa po yung mga nagkakos lalo or nag-worsen ng itsura ng condition nyo. So, let's say, kunwari po may eczema lang kayo. Parang simple ng kate-kate, pero ang ginagawa, yung iba nagpipiling solution, nagre-rejuve. So, yung usual story is gagaling sila. Yes, gumagaling kasi may mga ingredients na may part steroid, pero hindi lang po siya steroid eh. May mga steroid, antifungal, tas very harsh yung chemicals nun. So, gagaling siya and then babalik sa amin, sobrang lala na. So, parang kailangan talaga yung patient education, sobrang important na hindi po lahat ng na-access natin ay safe ilagay or ipahid sa ating mga katawan. So, best po talaga na magpatingin kayo sa mga doktor.
Correct.
Doktor, yung sun exposure, nag-advise kami for D3, no? Vitamin D3. So, ano ba ma-advise niyo po na dapat na time na magsa-sun exposure para lang to get that good vitamin D3?
So for vitamin D, kasi that's true kasi you're with sun exposure, you have vitamin D3 in your system, which is very important. So actually, if I'm not mistaken, you need just like 10 minutes of sun
10 minutes
exposure,
lang.
And then ideally also it's really the time. So the one where the sun kasi is at its worst is actually from 10 to 2. So those are the times that if you can do it earlier in the morning, that would be okay. Yeah. But even if, for example, you go, kasi we do encourage naman, hindi naman pwede na hindi ka lumalabas. Yes, So it's really just using your sunscreen at least 30 minutes before leaving, applying an adequate amount of sunscreen. Kasi sometimes yung one dot lang sila.
Yes. Daw, Doc, di ba? Dapat
Yeah, two fingers. Yeah.
Yes.
So that one, for example, is good for like the face and neck. So if you estimate yung parang the rest of your body, that's how you think about it. So on the arm, 2 fingers also. Or it's better to over-apply na lang. And then, like with it's really reapplication, especially if you're under the sun for a long period of time. So, every 2 hours, ideally.
New learning yan, Doc, na
Yes.
every 2 hours. Akala
Which is-
ko mga 4 or 6 eh.
I understand. Parang, I think the difficulty is yung, parang the reapplication eh.
Doc, I have a question. Yung sa pag-reapply, okay na ba yung stick? May mga stick na kasi, yes.
Well, yung pinaka-ideal pa din is yung cream. But I understand it's more parang easier to use a stick or yung spray. I think for me, at least if you just reapply, happy na din ako. And then also, parang don't discount din yung importance of using like kahit umbrella, having
Cap.
Cap, those things. So, kasi even clothing has its own parang UV protection index eh. So, just using that can be very helpful.
Kaya pala yung mga Japanese sa South Korea, Doc, talagang tagong-tago, no? At saka marami silang UV
Kahit
product.
nasa beach siya.
Oo, kahit nasa beach, tagong-tago sila. So, ang haba ng usapan natin, basta pampaarte, So, dapat hiwalay ata na podcast yung, pang-derma lang.
Interesting.
Yes,
eh.
very interesting. So, thank you, Doc, napaka-in-depth nung conversation natin. So, for our last patient, okay, Doc, we have a patient who's complaining or who felt a lump sa breast niya. However, inisip niya na lang, mawawala din to. But eventually, napansin niya na, lumalaki na, nag-iiba na yung itsura. Doc, usually, bakit sila takot magpatingin sa doktor?
Okay, so that is very common, no? Madami pong factors kung bakit natatakot o nag-aalinlangan magpatingin ng isang babae sa doktor, no? Ang isang pinaka-common, kasi iniisip nila na pag hindi nila pinansin, baka mawala lang on its own. Baka in a few days, a few weeks, or pag pinalampas nila yung menstrual cycle nila, baka mawala. So that's one reason. Another is yun nga, natatakot sila sa diagnosis. So ayaw nilang malabel na what if may bukol, pag nagpatingin sila, baka malabel sila as a breast cancer patient. And it's really because natatakot sila doon sa gamutan. So majority po sa atin, mayroong mga kakilala or nadinig na stories from relatives, neighbors, or even mga friends, no, na mayroong mga kakilalang breast cancer patients, nag-undergo ng chemotherapy, na wala ang buhok, nag-undergo ng surgery, na wala ang dibdib. So, sa panahon ho kasi ngayon, madami ng options. It doesn't mean na porket may bukol sa breast ay kailangang operahan. So, majority naman ng bukol sa breast ay benign or not cancerous. So, hindi naman din kailangan talagang tanggalin, no? Kailangan lang hong obserbahan. And even yung mga gamot ngayon, even for those na ma-diagnose ng breast cancer, hindi naman ibig sabihin na malalagas agad ang buhok. Lalo na kung mahuli ng maaga, no? Kung early on mahuli yung breast cancer, pwedeng mga hormonal treatment lang kung available for them. And for the surgery even, kung breast cancer, doesn't mean na kailangan tanggalin yung buong dibdib. So meron na pong options, pwedeng conserving surgery, pwedeng yung buko lang, tapos konting normal area around it. So, yun.
Bale, Doc, meron na kasi tayo almost readily available na sa lahat ng hospitals or clinics. We have breast ultrasound, we have mammogram, and even yung self-breast examination, Doc. No? So, Doc, how powerful nga ba itong mga tools na to sa pag-prevent ng breast cancer, Doc?
Okay, so unlike cervical cancer na mention ni Dr. kanina, ang breast cancer po walang vaccination, walang prophylaxis, no. Pero meron tayong mga imaging techniques like yung ultrasound, mammogram, pwede ding physical examination para mahuli ng maaga kung sakaling ang meron silang bukol sa breast, no. So sabi nga, 'di ba, early detection is the key. So bago pa man po makapa, nakikita na sa ultrasound or mammogram kung meron talagang bukol sa breast. And depende din naman sa laki, sa itsura, at sa kung anong klase yung bukol, depende din ho yung management natin. So usually ho, 40 years old and above, nire-recommend natin yung screening ng mammogram. Pero kung high family history or high risk yung isang tao, as early as 30 years old, pwede na po magpa-mammogram, and sinasamahan na din namin ng ultrasound. Iba ho kasi ang nakikita sa ultrasound, iba ang nakikita sa mammogram, no? And then yung physical examination, maganda din na kayo mismo makapag self-breast exam at least once a month po. So the best time to do that is within day 7 to day 10 ng menstruation. Pwedeng habang nakahiga, pwede habang naliligo, nakatayo. So kakapain ho yung dibdib. Kahit anong paraan, pwedeng patayo, pwedeng pahiga, pwedeng paikot, basta buong breast makapa. Sa simula, feeling nyo parang wala naman kayo nakakapa, dapat talaga walang makapa. Pero habang ginagawa mo siya every month, pag napansin mo may pagbabago, then ibig sabihin, kailangan mong magkonsulta sa doktor para ma-check up ng mabuti.
Yun din, Doc, yung sinasabi ko sa patients is natatanong nila, Doc, bakit kailangan sabay yung ultrasound and mammogram? May nakikita kay ultrasound na iba kay mamo, may kay mamo na hindi kita sa ultrasound. And Doc, personally, no, kasi nakapagpamammogram na rin ako. So, hindi
So,
po siya
40 ka na,
painful.
Doc.
Yes. Hindi ba? Pero Doc, di ba, ang ano talaga is, hindi siya painful. Yun po kasi yung takot ng patients. Doktora, masakit daw yan, iniipit daw po ang breast sa mammogram.
So, may some truth into that. Not entirely. Ang ultrasound ho, sige, sa ultrasound muna, ano lang siya, parang meron lang probe na ihahagod sa breast. So yun, hindi siya talaga painful. Ang purpose niya, kung makita ko meron mang bukol sa loob, malalaman natin kung yung bukol solid or liquid, makikita natin yung borders, kung makinis ba or rough, no? So sa mammogram naman po, x-ray siya ng breast. So merong mga plates na ilalapat sa breast para ma-x-ray yung breast natin. And usually kapag kabata yung pasyente, tapos medyo flat po, ihahagod para siya
Pag medyo flat, doktora, kasi muscle na po yung nahihila, kaya painful na.
Pero kung medyo well-endowed or medyo loose, nag-breastfeed na, yun, usually wala nang pain. Kasi nga naman, mabilis na lang siya ilapat doon sa plates.
So, Doktora, you advise every year, annual po yan, breast
po,
ultrasound
Doktora.
and mammo.
So usually po, we do annual mammogram kung wala namang inoobserbahan. Yung ultrasound, kung may mga solid na bukol, every 6 months. Pero kung puro liquid lang yung bukol, kahit annual ultrasound lang po.
So, Doc, yung self-breast examination, Doc, kailan dapat nagsisimula?
Ayan. So yung self-breast exam, lalo na doon sa may mga relatives or high risk po, as early as 20 to 25, total magkakapa lang naman sa sarili nila, pwede na ho yung gawin. So yun nga, katulad ng nasabi ko kanina, day 7 to day 10 of menstruation. Day 1 is the first day. So yung unang araw ng menstruation, yun na ho yung day 1, and then you count. Yung 7 to 10, yun yung pinakamagandang time magkapa. Hindi na ganun ka-encourage yung breast, so kung meron man, mas mabilis makapa, and hindi din ganun ka-tender or kasakit.
Doc, for those na may mga family history ng breast cancer, meron din po ba silang test, yung BRCA gene, gano'n? Pwede din ba sila magpaganon, Doktor?
Yeah, opo. So, sa ngayon, meron tayong testing, no? Genetic testing, BRCA1, BRCA2. Malalaman siya kung meron kayo noon. If you know, di ba si very famous si Angelina Jolie, wala siyang cancer pero positive siya for that. So, nagpa-remove siya ng breast niya tapos pinapalitan niya lang ng implant. Kasi for those na positive ho doon sa genes, high likely na magkakaroon or magde-develop ng breast cancer in your life. So, may ganun na pong test ngayon. Pero hindi natin siya nire-recommend to everyone kasi una, it's very pricey. Ginagawa natin siya kung yun nga, if you have high risk or high family history.
Okay. Sige, Doc. Doc, ano po yung mga usual misconceptions about breast lumps?
Okay, sige. Ang pinaka-common ho niyan, iniisip madalas na pagka may bukol sa breast, cancer na agad. So, hindi po 60 to 70% ng females ay nagkakaroon ng bukol sa breast in their lifetime. And only 10 to 20% are cancer. Kumbaga isipin yung 80 to 90% ng lahat ng bukol, benign lang, diba? So, important talaga na magpatingin. Kasi, una, kung magpatingin kayo, if it is not malignant, kung hindi siya cancer, then the earlier you can have your peace of mind. Hindi ka nakakaba-kaba na ano ba itong nakakaba ko, cancer na ba to? And on the other hand, if it is indeed malignant or cancer, the earlier we know, the earlier it can be treated. Ang breast cancer po ay nagagamot, it's treatable, lalo na kung mahuli ng maaga. So, pag nahuli ng maaga, mas mabilis gamutin, mas mura ang gamutan, and mas mataas ang survival outcomes po.
So, Doc, since ang dami talaga natin, kahit sa UBI po paminsan sa amin pumupunta yung mga patients with breast lumps. Yung iba talagang takot, ayaw talaga magpatingin. Iba na yung itsura ng breast nila. So, Doc, if kakausapin mo sila ngayon, paano mo sila encourage to check na po kayo?
So, para po doon sa may mga dinaramdam sa breast, no, whether it be bukol na nakakapa, katas or discharge from the nipple, skin lesion sa breast or even pain na sumasakit yung breast, wag ho kayo mag-alinlangan, magpatingin, no, magkonsulta kayo sa inyong physician, sa doktor ho ninyo, kasi katulad nga ho ng nasabi ko kanina, majority naman talaga ng concern sa breast ay benign, hindi naman cancerous. Hindi naman kailangang gamutin, hindi kailangang operahan, kailangan lang obserbahan. But syempre, yung 10 to 20% kasi kailangan nating malaman if you're one of those. Kasi kung ganun po, maaga natin magamot, mas maganda po ang outcomes.
Thank you, Doc. Very insightful din yung conversation natin about breast lump. So, Doc, bago tayo umuwi, bago tayo mag-end, may ano lang ako, Doc, pang Miss Universe na question. If you were to talk to your younger self about health, ano pong sasabihin nyo, Doc?
Ako ba ang una?
Ikaw una, Doc.
Younger self,
Yes, Doc.
siguro sasabihin ko, continue.
Yan ka pa naman, Doc, pero
Ayan.
younger pa ulit.
Continue swimming. So, yun yung sport ko. First love ko yung swimming. Continue swimming. Good health, of course. Good diet. When we say good diet, ang lagi kong ina-advise, sabi nila, dapat half of our plate will be veggies and fruits, and then 1/4 will be protein, like size of our fist, and then 1/4 yung carbs natin. No junk foods, sugary drinks.
Ang Pinoy kasi, Doc, baliktad.
Oo.
Kalahati ng plato kanin.
Yes. No, kalahati talaga kanin pag Pinoy. Move tapos supplements, of course, no, na maging regular. Tsaka, of course, check up sa hindi lang sa OB, kundi general, no, general check up. Siguro 'yon. 'Yun na maging advice ko sa younger self.
Tsaka siguro, Doc, para sabihin lang natin sa mga patients, hindi nyo po kailangan may maramdaman bago pumunta sa doktor.
Yan, tama 'yon.
May annual physical exam or annual, yung APE na tinatawag ng ibang patient. So, kahit wala pong nararamdaman, pa-check up na. maganda pa rin po na malaman earlier on kaysa yung mataas na pala yung cholesterol, yung sugar, di ba? So, Doc, sige, sa inyo po.
So ako naman, invest in your skin. So kasi when I was younger talaga, hindi po ako nagsiskincare. So ayaw ko yung nag-tretinoid. Sobrang hate ko yun. Ayaw ko nag-moisturizer. Tapos parang lately lang po ako
Nag-derma ka na,
nag-invest.
Doc?
Actually, nung med school. Kasi
Okay.
parang syempre nung med school, pinag-aaralan natin yung skin. Tapos meron tayong dermatology rotation. So doon talaga parang, okay. So kailangan ko talagang i-prioritize din yung skin health ko. Kasi syempre, yun yung una mong hinaharap sa tao. So, di ba parang madalas na parang nawawalan ka ng confidence kapag may something or parang hindi okay sa'yo yung nakikita mo sa skin mo. So, parang ang sasabihin ko sa younger self ko is, yun nga, is invest talaga sa skin kasi important din siya long term din. So, yun.
I think especially sa younger self, yung one thing that really came to mind was yung to prioritize yung health-seeking behaviors. Kasi even me, even if I was like, parang from a family of doctors, I think then parang it adds to, there's a fear talaga sometimes to seek regular consult if you have issues. So sometimes, hindi din ako when I was younger, but then really just having, like you said, yung regular checkups or even just, I guess we'll have a little bit more access just asking someone who's also a physician or just having those things, being more aware also of like parang yung, like for example, if you have a concern and then you're like, and then you're busy, sabihin, next time na lang or I'll miss my, okay lang yan, I have to prioritize yung work or yung studies. I think a lot of that also. In line with that also, with especially, I guess I see some med students here also, yung proper sleep.
Yes.
Very important.
Pero mahirap yun,
Oh,
Doc, para
mahirap
sa
yun.
estudyante.
But then I regret it so much when I was older, not valuing sleep, not valuing rest also. I think especially for a lot in the medical field, that's one thing that we forget to prioritize.
Doc?
So ako po, in addition sa mga sinabi nila, so bukod sa eating healthy, sleeping, resting, avoid smoking, avoid alcoholic beverages, and if you can. And then, yun nga, do not ignore your body. So kung merong nararamdaman, magpatingin ka agad. No? Sabi nga nila, health is wealth.
Siguro ako, Doc, kung kakausapin ko din yung self ko. Para lang maiba, po kasi ako chain smoker ako before. So, 2020 po yung last ko. So, talagang sinasabi ko to sa patients, hindi ko po to kinahihiya. So, it's something to tell them na, I've been in your shoes, rin ako, matigas din ang ulo ko. So, yes, kung kaya kong itigil yung bad behavior ko, kayo din. So, yun siguro yung sasabihin ko.
What makes you stop? Paano mo na-stop yun?
Doc, cold turkey. Talagang total stop siya.
Okay.
It was easier for me, Doc, kasi pandemic yun. So, wala kang kausap na kahit sino, walang mag-aaya sa'yo. It was easier for me.
Paano mo na-handle yung withdrawal? Sabi nila may withdrawal daw.
Siya, Doc, may nabasa kasi ako, Doc, na book, habit siya. Nakalagay doon kung paano siya nag-stop mag-smoke. May part doon na since smoking is a bad habit, palitan mo siya ng something na good habit.
So ano yun? Anong
Brushing my teeth.
Oh.
Yes, or pag-gargle ng Listerine, ganon, or sugar-free gum. Ganon siya ginawa. Then, obese po ako before. So, yes, mga 70 plus kilos po ako before ako mag-ed ng residency training. Sumakit po yung L4, L5 ko noon, hindi ako makatayo. So, yun po yung parang wake-up call ko, I should do something about it na. So, yun lagi ko sinasabi sa patients, mga PCOS patients natin, doktora, na hirap mag-lose. Naku, talagang, nag-dietitian na ako sa kanila, pati coach nila. So, I really tell them what to do. So, yun.
Isa pang uso ngayon, vape. No? Vape.
Never ako nag-vape, doktor Oo. Pero very uso nga siya. So, mali Kung mag-change ka from Yossi to vape, hindi din po. So, parehas lang silang bad habits. So,
Ako being a reproductive medicine specialist, kasi I help couples who's struggling with infertility, no? So, lagi ko sinasabi yun, no vices. And, yun nga, no cigarette smoking and drinking, of course. And once you're 35 years old and above, seek a reproductive medicine specialist agad. So 6 months lang binibigay na palugid kapag ka po nagtatry kayo mag-baby. Pero once when you're 35 and yung pababa, pwede naman po 1 year. Pero again, once you're 35 and you're trying, you go to your reproductive medicine specialist. And uso na rin ngayon yung mga young adults na nagpapa-freeze ng eggs.
Yes.
So meron ng ganun. Because yung mga young adults
May mga
natin,
package na doc ng seed
yes,
diba?
totoo yan. Yung mga young adults natin, career muna, career-oriented sila, career-oriented women, tapos nagda-delay sila ng pregnancy. Mas maganda kung magpa-freeze na ng eggs, no, para may good quality eggs. Why? When we get old, both the quality and the quantity of our eggs go down. So, mas maganda kung mayroong nakastore na ng mga good quality eggs, and then by the time you want to get pregnant, at least magagamit na yung good quality eggs.
Dok, may mga pahabol pa po ba tayo? Wala na. Mga pahabol sa ating mga patients. So, I think ang key takeaway natin dito sa podcast na to is number 1, prevention is better than cure. Number 2, kung anong nag-work sa'yo, pwedeng hindi mag-work sa akin. So, case-to-case basis. And number 3, wag matakot sa doktor. Diba? If in doubt or hindi alam, wag i-Google or chat GPT. Paminsan nauuna si chat GPT kaysa sa atin eh. So, yes, thank you everyone for watching. And may questions po. Okay, sige po. Yes,
may
gusto yan.
questions.
Sige, yes.
Sige.
So, sasagot po na muna tayo ng mga questions natin. Online to, ma'am? Yes, from online. Is it, wow, maganda tong question na to, Doc.
For me.
Yes,
Okay.
ito lagi ko po itong kukuha ang tanong sa clinic. Is it safe or advisable to use a feminine wash?
Not really advisable naman. We always advise patients to have their hygiene down there. Hindi naman po kailangan specifically feminine wash, pero hindi naman po may specific, no? Lagi lang po, of course, hygiene, sinasabi nila. Kasi yung iba daw, papalit-palit daw ng underwear. Kumbaga, hindi naman daw sa isang araw, 2 araw, 3 araw na yung underwear, hindi nila winawash. Meron daw akong gano'n na naririnig. So, ibig sabihin, side A, side B ba yan? O, meron din naman ako mga patients na
Side C ba yan?
Oo.
Kung day 3?
Like yung isang pad nila para makatipid, yung pag nagkakaroon sila ng mens, the whole day na siya, hindi pinapalit, pinupuno na muna. So yun yung mga hygiene, very general, hindi naman kailangan may specific na feminine wash na ginagamit. Oo.
Correct. Doc, i-add ko lang dun, no? Kasi lately, ang dami kong patients ang complaint is vaginal itchiness. Ito, hindi pala natin napag-usapan. Ito, medyo nakakaya ding itanong yung mga patients natin eh. So, napansin ko, Doc, ang dami may vaginal itchiness at saka yung foul-smelling odor nila. Then, pag tinanong natin sa history, Doc, grabe mag-bidet. Grabe maghugas. May isa akong patient parang...
Ito sobra naman.
Yes, Doc,
Okay,
parang 3 or 4
sobra naman.
times sila maghugas every time they pee, they wash.
Okay. Pwede naman mag-bidet. Pwede naman mag-wash. Pero hindi naman po talagang sobra-sobra naman with soap, ganyan. Basta in general, sabi ko nga, keep your hygiene down there. Hindi kailangan na laging may feminine wash. Tsaka kapag halimbawa, papa-check up kayo, laging iniisip kung ayaw nila kasi mamaya baka kasi maitim yung singit namin, ganyan. So, iniisip nila yung ganun. Kahit na po maitim yan, naintindihan po namin yun. Magpa-check up po kayo. So, wag po kayong mahihiya sa OB gynecologist ninyo.
Yes. Do we have more questions pa? Oh. Ayan. Doc, I'm a single mom. Ano po ang advisable age para magpa-pap smear?
Akin ulit. Advisable 21, no? Sa sa guidelines
Or with
natin.
sexual contact?
Yes, or with sexual contact. Kailangan po talaga pap smear. It's for cervical cancer screening, no? Cervical cancer screening. Hindi po siya pampalinis. Kasi ang dami po namin naririnig na ang pap smear ay pampalinis.
Kasi Doc, ginaganon daw. So, akala nila linis siya.
May pupunta sa clinic, tapos sabihin, Doktor, magpapalinis po ako. Ano po yung magpapalinis? Pero pap smear po yun. Okay? So, ginagawa po ang pap smear para po yun sa cervical cancer screening. Okay? Hindi po siya pampalinis.
Saka hindi kailangan, Doc, na may nabuntis, 'di ba? Kasi akala nila, "Dong, hindi pa naman ako nanganak eh, hindi ko kailangan magpa-pap smear." Basta po may sexual contact, pap smear na po tayo. Okay, do we have questions pa po? Okay, we have more. Ano po ang most common health myth you hear from patients in your field that you wish more people understood correctly? Start muna tayo sa derma, Doc. Sabi ng kapitbahay, ganito na lang daw, ganyan.
So usually po, yung mga ganyan, parang ang nakukuha kong patient is, pag may sugat, budburan mo ng amoxicillin or
Okay.
or minsan yung parang, pag may sugat, sige, kuha ka ng, ano yung sa bayabas? Yun, tapos ilanggas mo. So usually, yung mga ganong practices po, yes, naintindihan namin na it was a cultural tradition that was inherited pa. However, yung mga ganong practices po ay hindi po talaga namin pinopromote, especially ang pagbudbod ng mga antibiotics sa sugat. Sobrang daming gumagawa talaga nun. Pero kasi yun nga po is accessible kasi ang antibiotics kahit walang reseta. So yun po yung mga dapat yung iwasan kasi hindi po yun nakakagaling ng sugat. Ang paglanggas naman ng bayabas kahit traditional yun dati na ginagawa, mas pwede pa po siyang mag-cause ng mga contact dermatitis. So parang gagawing mas malala po yung mga sugat yun.
The one thing na I think also very common, kasi one of the most common things that we see talaga is acne. Oo, so a lot of patients say na they associate acne with like dirty skin. Oo, so parang while of course washing your skin is important, it's not the only underlying cause talaga ng acne. So a lot of kasi they say na I wash my face naman regularly, bakit nagpipimple pa din ako? So because of that, parang tinatry lang nila mag-change ng cleanser, not really addressing yung underlying problem nila. So acne, not only is it parang it really has a lot to do with other underlying conditions. So better pa din to see consult. Actually, another thing also is that since they associate it with like dirty skin, they think that parang i-outgrow lang nila eventually. So like we said earlier, there's especially kapag very severe na yung acne, I would consider it a medical condition already. So it really needs consult. Hindi siya lang I just buy all these products, I apply it on my face, baka mag-worsen pa siya. So that's yung very, very common na nakikita ko sa patients. Yeah, wash lang ng face.
So sa akin naman po, madami nagtatanong na halimbawa merong patient dumating BI-RADS 4, ganyan. So nire-recommenda namin ng biopsy. Madaming nagsasabi na, "Dok, sabi kasi ng kapitbahay namin, pag nagpa-biopsy ako, magkaka-cancer." So hindi po totoo na nakaka-cancer ang biopsy. Actually, kaya na-recommenda yung biopsy kasi merong lesion or bukol kayo sa breast na suspicious for cancer. So, kailangan natin siya para ma-diagnose or malaman kasi hindi po enough yung ultrasound lang or mammogram para malaman natin kung cancer ba talaga yung bukol. No? Minsan kasi peklat lang or pamamaga lang sa breast. So, ginagawa yung biopsy para ma-confirm po kung ano talaga yung bukol and para mabigyan ng tamang gamot. So, hindi totoong nakaka-cancer ang biopsy.
Para malaman kung may cancer.
Para humalaman.
Yes, okay. So, last question na po, Doc. Is it true that birth control pills like Dayan ay nakakakinis?
Parang both, OB and derma yun,
OB and derma.
Pero totoo po yun, yung cyproterone acetate, ng balat. Pero of course, hindi naman po yun, indication po agad-agad na pag meron pong acne ay cyproterone acetate with ethinyl estradiol. So you consult your OB and your derma. So hindi po yun basta-basta na lang po iniinom. Meron pang isa ako naririnig pag nag-pills po ay hindi na po magkakaanak in the future. So hindi po yun totoo. Ayaw po nila na mag-pills kasi baka daw po yun merong effects sa fertility. So hindi po yun totoo. Another thing, meron pa ako naisip. Pag nagkakaroon ng dysmenorrhea, sasabihin ng mommy, ganyan din ako nung bata. Talaga, normal yan. Oo. Ganyan, normal yan. Hindi po totoo yun. Dapat po magpa-check kasi it could be again endometriosis po. Sabi nga po nila, it takes 8 years to diagnose endometriosis because from the start po ng symptom to the diagnosis, 8 years, sobra pong tagal. Imagine niyo na lang po kung ano po yung in-undergo dinadamdam na feel po nung daughter, yung mga sister, yung pain na. So dapat po talaga pa-check up po agad. Anything po na may naramdaman sa body niyo po na kakaiba, it could be something po. So pag halimbawa sinabi po ng doctor, negative naman, wala naman. So, ibig sabihin po, that time na pwede po kayong kumalma. Pero, in endometriosis, later on, plug ko lang, meron po akong webinar about it, 5 o'clock, about endometriosis. Kasi po, hindi po ibig sabihin na wala pong nakita sa ultrasound ay pwedeng i-rule out na po ang endometriosis. It could be endometriosis pa din, kahit po walang nakita sa ultrasound. O yun.
I think one last question. Sige po. One last question? Okay, sige po.
Doc, ask ko lang po, as na nagtitake po ng hormonal pills po, may mga underlying factors po ba siya? Like, magkakaroon ka po ng acne, ganun, or mga hormonal imbalance po? Hormonal imbalance po siyang factors na lang. For like, transition po. Hormonal HRT po.
Yan. O, so, meron namang mga ganun na nagpipills pa rin, pero again, don't fail to go to your OB pa din. Oo.
Kung for transition, Doc, may doctors din
Yes,
for
may doctors.
transition
Oo.
talaga.
OB,
Yes.
like Dr. Galito. Oo.
May doctors talaga for transition para may guide kasi talaga siya eh. Para,
May mga labs din yan.
Yes,
May mga
may lab
tinitest.
test din.
Oo.
so, kasi, ang tawag dito, over-the-counter kasi ang contraception, Doc. Akala nila yung OCPs, pwede na siya for transition. Yun yung ginagawa ng iba eh. So, yes, do we have more questions pa ba? Yes?
For Doc Karen po. Doc, question lang po. Usually po kasi parang medyo naging ano po natin yung pag natamaan yung breast natin is parang possible ba siya na mag-lead sa breast cancer parang?
So, madalas po yan na may mga pasyenteng ganyan na nasiko lang ako kaya ako nagkabukol. Madalas po, kaya nila nasa start kapain kasi nga nasiko. So, bigla nilang kakapain tapos doon nila malalaman na meron palang bukol. Pero meron din namang klase ng bukol na pasa or hematoma or sometimes fat necrosis sa loob ng breast. Pwede din naman ho siya na talagang galing sa trauma or pag nabugbog yung breast, pwede din naman talaga magkabukol.
Okay, so we have one more question or two more questions. Pwede pa.
Kahit ilan.
For Dr. Karen po ulit, totoo po ba na kapag yung mga bras na ginagamit, yung wired bras, nakaka-breast cancer din siya? Ano po yung best na bra na pwede isuot po ng mga kababaihan?
Kaya maganda ho yan, no? Madaming ganyan nagtatanong, ang deodorant ba or ang underwire, ang bra na may wire nakakakos ba ng cancer? So hindi po, hindi ho nagkakos ng cancer yung kung may wire man ang bra ninyo or nagdi-deodorant kayo, hindi ho yun nagkakos ng cancer. So ano lang ho yun, fake news.
Sabi nga, pati pills nakaka-breast cancer.
Ang pills naman, if you take it for too long, pwede magkaroon ng mga changes, developmental changes like mga cyst and all. So, kailangan lang din ho nating i-monitor.
Okay, so for our last question, last na? Okay, sige po ma'am.
Question lang po kay Doc Karen. Paano po namin malalaman na if yung sa breast po namin is for surgery na ba or pwede siya for take lang ng medicine or paano po ba namin malalaman na yun na po yung dapat naming gawin?
So, good question po, no? Ang bukol po sa breast, may dalawang klase talaga. We have the solid masses and the liquid. Yung mga liquid, yun yung tinatawag na cyst. And majority of cysts are benign, not cancerous. Kung maliliit lang, hindi naman ho kailangang operahan, hindi ho kailangang tanggalin, no? Usually, ino-observe lang natin. Yung iba naman ay may malalaking cyst, parang bola na. Yun ho, pwedeng higupin lang yung liquid para komportable kayo. So, walang sugat yon, tusok lang na maliit. Doon naman sa may mga solid na bukol, so katulad ho ng nasabi ko kanina, majority ng solid na bukol are benign, so pwedeng hindi din naman talaga tanggalin. Pero kung medyo malaki na, nasa more than 2 cms, or kayo mismo ay parang you feel uncomfortable, masakit, mabigat, or ayaw nyo nung nakakapa, pwede naman din kung i-remove. Tapos kung cancer naman, o ibang usapan. So, ang treatment for cancer, usually kung early stage, or mabait yung type ng bukol, we do surgery first para hindi na kumalat. But kung mas advanced na po yung stage, or kung aggressive yung type, nagbibigay muna kami ng systemic treatment or chemotherapy para makontrol muna or matreat muna yung whole body before removing yung bukol po sa breast.
Thank you very much for all your questions. No? Maraming salamat po. So I think para lang sa mga patients natin na nakikinig, nakita niyo naman kung paano kami sumagot ng question. So huwag po kayo mahiya magtanong sa mga doktor ninyo. Mas magandang magtanong ng mas maaga. There's no crazy or wrong question to ask your doctor. So, yes, siguro dapat to, hiwalay na lang yung topic natin na breast, derma, at saka OB.
Next time.
So, siguro iba-iba tayo ng podcast. So anyway, thank you very much po sa lahat ng nanood sa atin. And dito po, thank you all for listening po. And thank you po, everyone. Thank you.